Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to Take This. What's up, Griff? Griff is here with me. Griff Sutton, what is up, my man? How are you?
I am good, Brad. I'm in a bit of a I don't know how I'm feeling after the Super Bowl. I have mixed emotions on the matter, but we'll get into that. But other than that, I'm good.
That's good.
It was
That's
a
good.
fun time, fun game, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it was. Do you think? And I'm gonna get into this in a second. Well, in a little bit later, I should say. But how did the Super Bowl? Did it play out how you anticipated it?
Kinda, yeah.
Did it really?
Think, Stafford committing 2 turnovers and looking like he was going to blow the game in the second half, and then them having to make a miraculous comeback to win.
Right.
That doesn't surprise me. Joe Burrow getting the shit sacked out of him, also not surprising. These were all things we called. I think I expected there to be more scoring despite those 2 things, which I guess, kind of contradict, high scoring when you get sacked a lot and turn the ball over. But
right.
I think I just figured that, on the turnovers that, the other team would score quickly or something. Either way, it played out for the most part how I like it. Not exactly, but I think some of the, the storyline we saw throughout the game, that makes sense. That made sense to me, and that's kind of what I thought would happen because it was a very Stafford-esque performance.
Yeah, and like the interesting thing for me was not like the game. Like we know that like the Super Bowl is not always like the best like teams in the NFL. Just because of the randomness of the NFL, like that is kind of what makes the NFL so great, is that the one game elimination, like all that stuff, like that's fun to watch, right? Like because anything can happen.
It's about getting hot at the right time. The NHL has aspects of that, like all you need to do is get on a hot streak at the right time,
right?
And
I mean, and any things like that, like baseball, any league, like baseball's the same way. You could have you could have like a 15 game winning streak. Like you saw like Oakland in the MLB last season went on like a winning streak of like 12 or 13 games, and nothing happens. I don't even think they made the playoffs, something like that. But like again, like anything can happen. With the NFL, it's interesting. It would have been fun to see if Kansas City could have done anything else, but again, Cincinnati got there deservedly so, right? Like Mahomes did not have a great second half of the AFC Championship, et cetera, et cetera. I want to say this though, and because this was my biggest observation when the Super Bowl was going on. We all know that Sean McVay almost coached himself out of a Super Bowl, right?
100%.
Like committing to the run.
100%.
I don't understand why.
In the fourth quarter, like you got Stafford to throw the ball. This isn't, you don't have Jared Goff anymore. Did he just forget? He he didn't have Jared Goff anymore. I think he forgot
Yeah.
because he was acting like they were afraid to throw the ball, and I get it. Like, I'm not trying to dismiss the 2 picks because throwing 2
Right.
picks is not a good recipe for success. But the first pick was an arm punt because it was 3rd and long anyway, and he just said, "Fuck it, go for the hero ball." Worst, all that happened was the ball. They got basically was a touchback, right? It was a touchback punt. Now, obviously, it's still not, on 3rd and long from midfield. It's not great to just throw up interceptions to the end zone.
No,
But it
especially
wasn't
when
like
there's 2 minutes left
he
in the
didn't
half.
throw it in the
but-
red zone. He didn't throw it deep in his own territory, so they got the good field position. It wasn't like they weren't going to get a field goal or any points anyway. So, like, if you were going to throw a pick, that's the time to do it. And then the second pick wasn't really his fault. It bounced right off his receiver's hands and into a Bengal linebacker. I very rarely hold. This is one of my things where I'm like, sometimes interceptions are deceiving because they're literally not the quarterback's fault at all. This one might have been Stafford's a little because maybe he threw the ball a little with too much zip on it.
Yeah, but at the same time, like if you're a pro level,
You're
like,
a pro athlete, and he was
Right.
like, he wasn't even running. He was like a little stop and sit route, and he was just standing there, and it bounced off his hands. So it's like you got to catch that, or at the very least, not let it bounce in the air to another
Mhm.
defender.
Like like if you're not gonna catch it, you got to let that fall.
Yeah. So
and I mean Stafford he had a good game, like for the most part. And I'm not gonna say that he's like Kupp deserved the MVP. You agree?
no,
You don't agree? You think it should have been
Aaron
Donald?
should have had it. Oh, 100%.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I get
agree.
it. Cup had.
But they're probably not
fucking
going to
two-
give it to a defensive player. Like, well, who was the last defensive player to
Von
have?
Miller. Current Ram, Von Miller.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true.
You know why? You know the reason Cup shouldn't have it alone because he fucked up the Philly special.
The what?
They did the Philly special, the trick play. You know what I'm talking about? Where
Oh, I
So
don't
it
think
starts
I saw
out-
that. I
It-
think I
it's
was away for the
direct-
game.
it's a direct snap to the
Mm.
running back who runs a reverse, runs to the left and gives it a reverse to the receiver, and then the receiver throws it to the quarterback. And he had Stafford wide open. Cup just airmailed it. Like,
Right. That was the play that I was making fun of him for.
yeah, it was a bad throw.
Because Michigan State had pulled a trick play, and I don't know how Peyton Thorne caught that ball. Obviously, like in this case, it's different, but
So Aaron Donald, like he had 2 sacks, 3 tackles, 2 of them being sacks. But it's one of those things like he is an MVP for everything. Like you just watch him. Like you ever heard the eye test when he passes the eye test. He just bullies offensive linemen, and he was making Joe Burrow uncomfortable all fucking day.
so
Him
I
and
actually,
Ashawn Robinson
what's interesting to me
and Von Miller, really.
is that like the Rams had a little bit of difficulty at first. Like I'm not gonna say that it just seemed even. Like up front. Like it wasn't like anyone was dominating either or, right? And they mentioned this during the broadcast, like they were very smart about it, right? Like analyzing it. And like they mentioned like there wasn't enough one-on-one opportunities for Aaron Donald to make any difference. And then
But
once
what
the
he
second
does is
half
he
came
opens it
around,
up for other people to open up opportunity.
what's that?
Oh, I was just saying. So, but like even if he's getting double teamed, that typically means someone else has a good matchup. So, like even when he is being double teamed and shut down, him drawing a double team is what
Right.
makes him effective.
I mean,
If you
that's,
have a
that's completely
reputation's a
fair because
dangerous
if you're in
thing.
the NFL and you're drawing double teams, that's a big deal. Because NFL
Yep.
linemen should not have to, you know what I mean? Like they shouldn't have to double team in it. It's the NFL.
Yep.
But there was the face mask, right? That Cincinnati got away with, right? That
Yep.
was obviously
And
was a
it
touchdown.
literally was a touchdown. Yeah.
Literally, yeah. So it literally led to points. I noticed, and my observation comes in the final 10 minutes, right? So you had, I think it was about 9.5 minutes that Cincinnati got the ball back. They got the ball, I should say. I shouldn't say get the ball back, but they got the ball. 10 minutes with a little bit less than 10 minutes to go. And Joe Burrow, just before that drive, had, and I think, what was it? LA had like a 3-and-out or something like that, just after like Joe Burrow went out with that that knee sprain, knee injury, whatever he had.
MCL sprain.
MCL, right?
Found out.
So anyway, he goes out with injury, and they kept him in, and I understand that because Joe Burrow was like, I'm not coming out. Like, it's a Super Bowl, right? Like, it's like, I mean, again, like, if you are in it, like, yeah, health is important, but like, if you can play, like, it's a Super Bowl. Come on, play.
And he wasn't. I think they kind of, let's be honest, they punted on that drive a little bit though.
And that's the thing, because did that drive not decide the game? Because yes, before that, LA was dominating Cincinnati's linemen. Like, that is just what happened. Like, that is like, you saw Joe Burrow getting sacked like 6-7 times in that half. I don't know, whatever the number was. It's like, what was it? 6?
He got sacked a total of 7 times in the game.
7 times in the game. So, and a lot of those came in the last half. And
yeah.
So my issue was when, like, do you remember Cincinnati's last drive, the one after LA had scored the touchdown?
Yeah.
So
they
that drive was actually better than the drive that I'm talking about where Cincinnati got the ball with 10 minutes to go. When they got the ball with 10 minutes to go, here is the breakdown of every play. All right? Run, pass for 3 yards, pass for -3 yards, run, incomplete pass, punt. Wasted 3.5 minutes. Gave LA the ball with 6 minutes to go, and you can't give Stafford the ball. I mean, again, like, I knew that they were going to score at some point. Like, you needed to get points at that point. And like, because again, Cincinnati had given up all those sacks earlier in the half, and they still had a chance to win despite not scoring, like, in like what felt like a lifetime. And again, that drive when Cincinnati got the ball back, where Joe Burrow was making quick passes, where he was like, they were giving more and trying.
Well, yeah, it was
more.
Do or die time. You couldn't play it safe.
And
anymore.
That's the thing. Was it not do or die time, even with 10 minutes left? It felt like they were just trying to save face and play defense the whole game for the rest of that game. Because you got away with murder with the face mask call. They get away with murder. You got to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So
I think
I guess
I do
that's
think
my
there
point.
was some coaching blunders on both sides. I think that was
absolutely. Even though Sean McVay, even though he ran the ball a bazillion times and like just didn't seem like he was like, I don't know, competent. Like, he just didn't seem like Sean McVay. And like, I don't know, I thought he was a good coach. And I mean, you got Zach Taylor.
He is. I think his eyes just got too big. The lights got too bright.
Yeah, I mean, I get that.
And I think he was under a lot of pressure. This was, if you're the Bengals and you lose, Zach Taylor just got an extension because no one expected them to be here.
Well, and
right.
And exactly.
Whereas if the Rams didn't win, it's a disappointment,
right? Because
they needed to. This was all in, right? Yeah, you had to win this year because you went all in.
Yeah, and even then too, with that said, with like the Cincinnati the game being decided in the final 10 minutes, like, I still think, and I'll say this again and again and again, I think that LA got lucky with the holding call in the red zone. I don't think that the second one was a big deal. That one was definitely holding. The first one was not. But I mean, it was like kind of gray. The issue that I had though was that, like, if there's no penalties in that red zone, do you think that LA scores? I mean, how many chances did they have?
So, say the question again.
So in that, when LA scored that final touchdown, A field goal would have made it 20-19. They still would have been losing.
Yeah.
They
were going
have,
for it.
Would they have scored a TD because they needed the TD because they missed the extra point? If they didn't, if they didn't get any holding calls in the red zone, do you think that Stafford throws the TD?
Well, they would have. So it would have been fourth down from like the 9. I mean, it's totally possible.
That makes it even kind of more. I don't know. I mean, again, like I hate to play all these hypotheticals, but I'm just saying that like Stafford had a lot of chances.
Yeah, but you do with the chances that
of
you
course.
get.
No, absolutely.
I know. So like the holding call itself, it brings me back to the Peyton Thorne was his shin down situation with the U of M MSU game.
Yeah.
I've since come around and said, yeah, his shin was down, right? I've come around with the Bengals with that penalty, and I think it's not pretty clear cut, but it's close enough to be holding. And this is let's be honest, an offensive league. I know people think the refs handed it to them, but let's not act like the Bengals didn't have their chances. Like,
weren't there also?
I am not a person who believes one call determines the outcome of a game. Even when I was mad at that whole Peyton Thorne shin thing, I said this isn't what cost Michigan the game. I just think it shouldn't have been that way, right? That was my stance back then. I don't think this call cost them the game. I mean, it did because it was crunch time, but like they gave up a possession by not letting Joe Burrow throw it.
Yeah, I mean, they ran it 4 times, passed it twice, and those passes were nothing.
They had a minute and 25 seconds. All they needed was a field goal.
And that's true.
We've seen that's plenty of time.
Yep.
So, listen,
and again, like you cannot blame the holding. I'm not saying, and that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm trying to say. Because I, again, am a firm believer in that, like, again, like one thing's not gonna, because LA did deserve to win, and I'm gonna say that I think that LA absolutely deserved to win. They were the better team. They stuffed Cincinnati up front on defense. I think that their defense won them the game. And that's why, I mean, I agree with you. I think that Aaron Donald deserved to win the MVP, and because I mean Cooper Kupp, yeah, maybe if you're giving it to an offensive player, but like if LA's defense isn't as good as it was, Joe Burrow has no issue. You know, I mean, that's what stifled Tom Brady when he faced the Giants in the Super Bowl. That's how any team has ever been able to beat Tom Brady, is beat whoever his offensive line was and get to the quarterback. You have to do something. And again, like, I'm not saying that Joe Burrow's any Tom Brady, but that's kind of the thing, right? Like, is the defense won them the game. And I don't know, but
defense wins championships, right? I just think if you blaming the referees is weak, I think.
Oh, it is, absolutely.
And I don't think I thought it was pretty good throughout most of the game. Like,
there weren't any penalties, like, at all throughout most of it. I mean, even that face mask call was like, they got away with that.
That was very much a missed call.
That was that was rough. I call it murder. They got away with murder.
Because like, let's be honest, like, he had his whole face mask, the head turned. It's everything that you normally see get called, but I think just because he was facing away from the sideline, and then the other, whatever ref was on that side of the field, didn't see it because
I also think that it was hard to see, because when I was watching this in real time, and I'm not defending this, but as I was watching this in real time, it kind of looked like he tripped. It wasn't until I saw the replay
in real time. Yeah, absolutely. That's why I think it didn't get called.
That's exactly it, right? Like,
and I as much as it's like, yeah, it's a missed call, I would have been. And that one is like, wasn't even just to keep a drive alive. That was the difference between a 75-yard touchdown and the Bengals having the ball. I think that would have been a 10 or 15-yard penalty. So it would have been like 1st and 20 or 21st and 25 on the Bengals' own like 10-yard line. Like, that's literally a 90-yard and 7-point flip. Huge field
right.
position swap. Huge, like it just insane. Yeah, I just it was like I said, it was a good game. I think that times though it was a little boring, and I think that Bills Chiefs game spoiled us all. And I was like expecting that, knowing damn well like both of these guys have never been in a Super Bowl, and they're probably gonna, have some nerves and get off to excuse me.
Yeah, I know
Get
it's a
off
late
to
night.
a somewhat slow start. So no, I think, but I just think Aaron Donald was the real MVP there. I think Stafford. I would have given it to him second because again, I look at the circumstances of his two picks, which were fuck it arm punt and oh my receiver played volleyball instead of football. So and I would like to point out Patrick Mahomes in 2020 in the 2019 season, so 2 Super Bowls ago, also threw 2 picks with 3 touchdowns and similar yardage and won Super Bowl MVP. So I would make the argument I didn't think Mahomes should have been Super Bowl MVP that year either, but I'm just saying like their performances were similar, and I don't think Kupp he had a good game, and maybe I'm just downplaying it because it's Cooper Kupp, and I expect him to get like 300 yards a game, and him only getting like 98 with 2 touchdowns feels underwhelming. But yeah, I just think Cooper Kupp was weird. Like I would have picked Aaron Donald number 1, and then it would have been Stafford before him. But it's Super Bowl MVP. I don't really care that much because it's kind of like Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl MVP. So like that kind of tells you the value of that.
Well, and a lot of people have called for the NFL to overhaul it in a way, right? Like because a big problem with it is that there's no like transparency. Like we don't know how it works, right? Like we do, but we don't know like the specifics, right? Like kind of like Heisman voting, right? Like unless the people go out of their way to share their votes, like we don't know their votes. Like this is by contrast, like in the Baseball Hall of Fame, like we usually know the ballots of like who voted for who in the Hall of Fame. Like we know like which guy, like some guys in the Baseball Hall of Fame haven't voted for a single person in 10 years. And in that or in 4 years, like that should not be a thing.
Right.
And people are pissed about it, rightfully so. But the same thing for the Super Bowl MVP. Like there's media members. There's a group of them that vote for the Super Bowl MVP. I think they vote for a first, a second, and a third. If I'm correct, I could be wrong. If I'm correct, though, the first place gets you 1 point. Second place gets you I think it's 0.75, or third place gets you 0.5. I think that's how it works. I could be wrong, but that's how it works, right? But we don't know the specifics. We don't know who's voting. We don't know who voted for what. You know what I mean? Like we just don't know. And a lot of people want more transparency when it comes to that. And I don't know what else people have suggested.
Like the actual MVP vote, we know people's votes, but
right.
I don't think people care that
no
one's screaming and shouting about the Super Bowl MVP.
And that's kind of my thing too. Like I don't really care that much about it to want that, like I don't think it's warranted.
And yet here we are talking about it on the show.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, again, this is just what I've seen on Twitter from people who are high up in sports talk. Like there are people who
football just went away. So
right,
they're we're going to be mad about this. Why do you think the Matthew Stafford Hall of Fame shit is coming up?
And
which is
right.
so ridiculous.
I mean, and we're about to discuss that. But again, I think that I would, if I had to pick, I would rather want more transparency when it comes to Heisman voting than Super Bowl MVP. Again, like it's a game. You know what I mean? Like it's one game. Most of the time during that game, like we knew who the Super Bowl MVP was. Right? Like Tom Brady in like I don't know, in most of the Super Bowls he's won, like he's deserved to win Super Bowl MVP.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we just know that. Like most of the time there's one
I
person
just
that
don't
you can
think-
pinpoint.
I just don't. Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Because like this year there really wasn't like that
No.
surefire guy, and I think like, even the year Mahomes won it, like he had a good game, but he also like made some serious mistakes. Like
Yeah.
again, he had 2 picks, like Stafford did this year. Like wasn't his best, right? But he still won it because QB. But I think this is like the war. Like you're gonna see Super Bowl MVPs be receivers a lot more than you won't. Whereas like you're not gonna see like a regular season MVP, because I think in one game a receiver can be the most valuable player, but it's hard to sustain that over a season and have that impact over a season. Relative to a quarterback, right? So
Who would you pick to be the Super Bowl MVP if the Rams had not scored in that last drive?
Like, so
It can't
technically
be
the
Burrow.
MVP doesn't have to be the winning team, although it like always it always is, because like of course. I just
Well,
feel like
and-
it's like
And I was gonna
it's kind of
say-
weird to give it to the guy who lost.
I was
Because
gonna
like
say
you are
that
the
like
most valuable player, even though your team didn't win. But like I could argue that like
Aaron Donald.
even if the Rams lost, that Aaron Donald still should have been the
That's-
Super Bowl MVP.
Absolutely. I was just gonna say that's
Because,
the
like,
first name that comes to mind.
Joe Burrow had a good game, but it wasn't a great game.
No,
None of
and
his receivers did anything crazy. Like, okay, so like honestly, you know who it probably would have been if if they only give it to the winning team, which is probably what they would have done,
right.
because I get it, right? Give the accolades to the team that won.
Yeah, that I mean that would
unless
be
the other-
kind of shitty. Like
Unless
everyone would
they
be pissed.
truly just like every receiver had the same amount of catches and yards and the quarterback just was meh. They're never going to give it to the team that loses, which is fine. Whatever. It doesn't
Right.
matter. I imagine being like Aaron Donald. You lost the Super Bowl, but here you're MVP. Congrats. Like I feel like it would piss me off.
That would, yeah.
But honestly, you know who it probably would have been, and it's kind of weird to say this. It probably would have been T. Higgins.
You think so?
4 catches, 100 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. I think that
He had that long touchdown catch. He had the touchdown catch from Mixon. Remember, Joe Mixon threw a touchdown. And because like Burrow had 1 touchdown for 263 yards, he wouldn't have won it.
no.
And I don't think there's anyone on their defense that did enough to warrant it. Like, who got the interceptions?
Well,
Jesse Bates, but what? He had the 1 pick and then 3 tackles. And
yeah,
3
so that
assisted
wasn't very
tackles. That's
standout.
nothing.
Well, and
Yeah,
Cincinnati's
it probably
like,
would have been T.
defense-
Higgins. Straight up.
Cincinnati's defense did sort of give Stafford fits for a little bit. Like they were kind of holding up. Like they did what they did against Mahomes, and that is what it was more of a team effort though. Like it was a coaching
Bradford,
thing.
real quick, there's been a knock at my door, so I'm gonna have you entertain the people
That's
for like 2 minutes. I will be
Great.
right back. But
you know,
continue your thought. Continue your thought, and I will be back.
That is perfect. I love that. So, people, yeah. So as I was saying, I think that what am I supposed to do to entertain the people? So, anyway, as Griff goes and answers the door, I am a big fan. I was going to talk about Ja'Marr Chase. The people need to know about Ja'Marr Chase. Cincinnati has a lot to look forward to in Cincinnati because of Ja'Marr Chase and Joe Burrow. And do we think that Cincinnati will be back in the Super Bowl? I'm not actually sure. This is this is a mess. This is unscripted garbage. What are we doing? What a meltdown. What a meltdown. Griff, we missed you. Griff, you're back. Griff is
Yes.
back.
Yep.
That's great. What was it?
I ordered food and at 7 from Jimmy John's,
Oh, that's good.
and I knew it was gonna be here, but
Mm,
I was like, I honestly kind of forgot for a minute. Like I knew it was
mm.
coming in the back of my mind, but
Me
I
and
was
we.
just like, oh, it's Jimmy John's. It'll sit out there and it'll be fine,
That's
and
perfect.
it'll be cold.
Me and the people were just talking about. We were just talking about Cincinnati, and like, do you think that this is? Do you think that Cincinnati will be dangerous in the years moving forward?
Yes, but not next year.
You don't
Does that
think
make
so?
sense?
Sure.
So, what am I reaching for?
I have no idea.
I was reaching for. Oh, that's.
I couldn't actually
sorry.
tell you, Griff. I'm
I'm
not
all
with you.
discombobulated over here. Anyway, so yeah, I just don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be back next year. I think there's two big reasons. One, there's a lot of players on this team that won't be on it next year. Just
That's fair.
free agency and things like that.
Well, like
I
Jamar Chase,
also
you're
think-
excited, right?
Listen, okay, I'll say this. I believe Joe Burrow is going to be back in another Super Bowl sooner than later. I
Really?
think he will be back in the Super Bowl and win one within the next 5 years. I just don't think next year. I think they're going to have a little bit of a regression because the NFL is built that way. It's hard to. But the thing is, it's like the Bengals weren't meant to be this good. So really,
No.
they're still on the upswing. I think they're gonna in this year. What's gonna happen is, so they're gonna invest in the O line, obviously.
Right.
They're gonna invest in the O line. They're going to sign a few players. They're gonna lose a few players, but I think overall they will upgrade their team. They're gonna probably use their first round pick this year on a lineman, on a tackle, and I just think there's going to be a regression a little bit, or maybe they stay. Honestly, what I think will happen is they'll play at the same level. They'll go like 10-7 or 11-6 again. I don't think they'll have the playoff run that they did. I think the AFC North is going to rebound a little bit and be a tougher division. And I just think that their ceiling, they're not going to be able to break through and have the miraculous run that they did again.
And that
But I
kind of
think
stuff
they'll
is
be
rare
in
too,
2
right?
years. Well, and that's the other thing is they play in the AFC. So think about the gauntlet. You probably will have to face the Bills and potentially the Chiefs, elite one or both of them.
And even I mean,
You may ahead.
that's a tough division too, right? You got the Ravens, right? You got the Browns, who are
Ravens, Browns,
very,
should-
very, very
who could have
chaotic.
both could have both bounce back years, right?
The only positive to being in the AFC North, I think, is that you have Pittsburgh, and it's kind of the right time to not be Pittsburgh.
But what Pittsburgh's built to win. You get a
true.
quarterback in there.
Yeah, that's not Ben Roethlisberger.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
you have some great young wide receivers between Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, and Deontay Johnson. You have a second-year running back, Najee Harris, who is a beast. You get some offensive linemen in there. You get, I don't know, you could get they need some defensive help, but they have some good pieces between Minkah Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, Devin Bush, anchoring down that defense. I'm just saying, Pittsburgh is one of those teams. I think they're behind Denver in that they are one quarterback away from being very good.
You think Denver's that good?
100%. That team is built to win. They need a quarterback. They have a very good offensive line. They have 2 stud running backs in Melvin Gordon, who, can we not forget that Melvin Gordon was an all-pro on the Chargers, and then he came here, and he came to Denver, and also Javonte Williams has been a stud for them, just a bruiser of a back. They have a great wide receiver trio of Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy and Tim Patrick, who have all emerging as great receiving threats. Their numbers just don't look good because they've had Teddy touchdown, Teddy two gloves throwing him the football. And then their defense, I mean, you got Bradley Chubb, you got Justin Simmons, you got Patrick Surtain the second on, right? It's Pat Surtain. Yeah, he's on the Broncos. Like, you have a guy at every level. You have a pass rusher, you have a safety, you have a corner. They have good linebackers. They have a good D line. Like, I think if they get if Aaron Rodgers were to go to Denver this offseason, that team is instantly one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. 100%. But, that's neither here nor there. The point, bring this back to Cincinnati, is because we got on a tangent here. I think, we were talking about the Steelers. I think Cincinnati is good. I think Joe Burrow has the it factor. He is a guy who, he's like Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't need to have a super team around him to be able to win games. He can win games despite the team. And I think the Bengals, this offseason is very important. It'll tell me how important winning is to them and how much they understand football. Because if they spend the offseason and use resources on getting that O-line beefed up, you're instantly a very competitive team. But if you don't, you're going to get your franchise quarterback killed and his career will end before it starts. And I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but he's already torn his ACL.
Right.
Like, let's do what we can to prevent that from happening.
And that's right. And that's the thing. And that's going to it's going to take a big offensive line adjustment.
And that's why I like what the Lions are doing in their rebuild, even though there's a lot of question marks around regarding the quarterback position and how we're going to get, a franchise level QB. I think whenever we do, if we ever, we draft a rookie quarterback, he's going to be in a great situation. He's going to be dropped in an offense with good weapons, good running backs, and a fantastic O-line. And it insulates him. That's like what you want to do. It allows your rookie quarterback to grow and develop without, it's not a trial by fire. So right. I think,
and it's exactly what the Jets did wrong for so many years.
And they're still doing wrong.
Well, yeah, and they haven't learned,
So, Brad, do you want to? So on the show sheet, we got we have final
Matthew
results, and we have the Stafford Hall of Famers. So, do you want to? I have some quick notes about who you got, because I went through it today and checked the results.
Yeah.
Would you like me to just run through that very quickly?
Oh, I would absolutely. We had a who you got. Do you want to do a brief rundown for the people about the season?
So we were let me find it. I believe we were 60 and 61. Yes, I had 61 out of 111 picks. You were at 60 out of 111. So 1 point difference between the two of us.
What is the pick that you were the most proud of this season?
That's really hard. Because I didn't make a ton of like bold ass predictions. I think I know what yours is. It's the Alabama. It's the Alabama.
Is, yeah, it is. It has got to be.
Mine.
What was it like week? I think it was like week 2 that I picked the Alabama game because I had picked it in advance.
Brad. I would say. See it like I don't want to have to go back and look because the pick I'm most proud of should be one I just remember off the top of my head.
I can remember mine off the top of my head.
I think. No, you can, you fucker. I think it was a week. It was a college football pick, and I can't remember the pick. I think it was. It wasn't anything like yours, but it was a pick. Oh, I'm gonna have to go back and look because it's driving me crazy now.
There
But
were
it was a
actually-
pick where I picked an underdog who was like it was like I think the underdog was like a 7-point underdog, and I picked him to win outright, and they did.
That's great.
It might have been, you know what it might have been? In the bowl season, or maybe it was right before bowl season. I think it was Nevada and Navy, and I picked Nevada to win outright when they were like 7-point favorites. Yeah, I think that's what it was. But, no, if I had to really say, I'm just proud at my consistency.
Yeah, I mean
55% is a good rate. I profit, right? If I bet the same unit every game, I would have profited.
So, because with me, I was actually I was out here making bold predictions all season long.
You definitely had a couple.
Because I had the one that was, because we were going over this. We were going over the college football recap, right? Or not recap, but preview for the 2021 season. And I remember we were talking, we were responding, I should say, to a article in ESPN Plus that was talking about the most disappointing teams or programs in college football. Right. And Michigan was one, right? They were sort of the history of Michigan was to win. Right. And we talked about that. And Georgia was kind of the elephant in the room in a way. And so I had said, despite that, Georgia is going to make a CFP. So I already predicted that. And then I want to say a couple weeks later, we were talking about Alabama or maybe it could have been in the same episode, because I remember thinking, because of that article, I'm could Georgia win? And I was thinking back to it. I'm well, Georgia has kind of a lot of, they got a new QB, so I don't know how that's going to be. They got a lot of guys that aren't returning, and so they got a lot of new people in a position to fill, and so it kind of seems like they're in a similar position to what Ohio State ended up being. And I did not predict the Ohio State thing, but I did say that Alabama would lose a game, and it would be kind of controversial. Well, not controversial, but it would be kind of on the road, not in a great situation. My whole mic just collapsed.
Oh no!
Not in a great
difficulties.
Listen, not in a great situation.
Here, wait, I'll join you.
Oh, perfect.
Talk like this for the show.
Yeah. I said Alabama's not going to be in a good situation. They're going to lose a game on the road at a team that has a good has a good stadium, right? And that was Texas A&M. They ended up losing at Kyle Field. It was a big deal. Then I also predicted that Michigan
bow down to you that week. I was look at Big Dick Brad over
I know.
here.
Well, and you know what?
Laying it down, calling his shot.
I was also kind of proud of predicting that Michigan would beat Ohio State. That is something that I was not actually anticipating, because it's something I could not believe until I saw.
But you picked them.
I did. Well, I did.
I was too afraid.
Well, and that's also harder when it's the team that you give a shit about, right? It's harder to do that when with Michigan State, Penn State, even though that game was not as big of a game as it was, I knew James Franklin's a dopehead, and I still said that Penn State would beat Michigan State. They ended up running the ball against a team that can't defend the pass, and for no fucking reason. If they would have thrown the ball, they would have won the game. It was that simple, but they didn't do that, and that is one reason I cannot believe that Penn State just got the extension for James Franklin. But it was just, again, Penn State should have won that game. There's no way. There's no reason why Penn State should have won. There's no reason. They threw the game. That's if a guy steals your car, but the keys were in the ignition. There's just nothing. There's no excuse for that, you know? So, anyway. It's but those are the picks that I had. I also, do you remember when I said that Matthew Stafford would win the Super Bowl? Do you remember when I said that? Week 1?
You did.
I was oh my God. Well, it was after I saw them, because last year I said that Tom Brady would win the Super Bowl. despite it was after like the first game I saw him with Tampa Bay, and I said that Tom Brady, the Bucs are gonna win. And then this year I saw LA play one game, and I was like, oh, it's over, like game over for the whole league. So that happened. It happened.
Yep. But no, so to recap the year, I'll just say this, Brad, on our Super Bowl picks, you were +2 over
Good for
me. So I just went through and counted what you were right on, like where we differed and who got it correct, right? Because most of our bets were 50-50. There was a few that were not yes or no, like the Gatorade color. It was blue. We both got that wrong. But any ones where we differed on, I just basically said, okay, Brad was right there, +1 him. Oh, I was right here, +1 me. You ended up being 2 higher than me, which technically means if you put this into the who you got grand total, it means, Brad, you won who you got by 1 point. And Brad has left the screen, so I will be talking to listeners. Yeah, so very impressive by Brad. Kind of a bummer for me to choke away the Who You Got championship. But hey, you know what? That's how it goes sometimes. Some quick highlights. Brad and I over on the national anthem, never a doubt. Coin toss, it was tails, did in fact fail, but I at least picked the Bengals to win it, and they did in fact win the toss. I do want to talk about the second quarter of the game, the over under in the second quarter. It was 13.5. We both took the over, and it would have been 14 if they didn't fuck up that extra point. But because they did, it was a 13-point quarter, and the under is what hit. A very bad beat, as they say.
You got to be kidding me on that. Sorry, I was fixing my microphone.
I understand, but what you didn't hear me say is, yeah, you have won who you got.
Oh, I did. Season. Oh, I heard that. I was applauding.
Yep, very very nice job.
Thank you.
I'm glad it was.
I think you did a good job. I don't think that I deserve to win because
you did get 6 points for that money for that Bama pick, but I had to reward you for putting your nuts on the table. It was impressive.
Well, so because the interesting thing is like I think we both did a really good job this whole time.
Yeah, I think so. And like I just want to say Vegas had these props, like, man, they just know. They just fucking know. I don't know how, but they do. Like, I'm looking over at my other screen here, and we have like over under 5.5 touchdowns. We both picked over. There was 5 touchdowns exactly. So the under.
Jesus Christ.
Field goals exactly 3. It was 3.5 was the spread. We both picked over.
Damn.
Ints, there was 2 picks. Now you took the over and I took the under. But like they had it down to the line. The one thing they were really off on was sacks. Hey, there was like 8 sacks, 9 sacks, and they had the over under at 4.5. So like, but even like Cooper Kupp, like we both picked the over. It was under, but only by like 10 yards. Cooper Kupp receptions, it was 8.5. He had 8. The OBJ receptions, it was a wash because he got injured. So normally it's a push. They refund your bet and say, here you go. Doesn't count because it's not fair to you at all.
Right.
And like Van Jefferson, 31.5 yards. He only had like 23, and I don't know why I thought he had more than that. It was kind of a shame. But yeah, I mean, for the most part, like we pretty close all around. The one that was the funniest is that we both were wrong on the missed extra point, because technically, is it a missed extra point if the kick never got off the ground?
Did they count that as a missed extra point?
Well, it technically is a
fuck. That's
I think
dumb.
that would be a count as like, yeah, that
I don't
hit.
think so. That was, come on, like, okay,
a bad snap. But
here's my This is
It was
my.
a failed extra point attempt.
I was
which
gonna.
I think
Okay,
probably is what they
no,
meant.
no. Listen to this. I am going to offer you a counterpoint. What happens? Okay, hear me out. What happens if they? Sorry, hang on. Sorry, it muted me. What? So what happens if there's a fake kick? Okay, a fake kick, and he like just fumbles the ball at the snap. What do you call that?
A failed 2-point conversion.
Okay, bingo.
But the thing is, that was not the intention. They were
We
very
we
clearly
know
going
that.
for a
Like
kick.
we obviously know they weren't going for 2. But like come on, like it wasn't like he kicked the ball. His foot didn't even touch
and
the
just
ball.
shanked it. Yeah, he just fucked up the
His-
hold. So
Well, right. Well, he
Um,
fucked up the hold and the kicker's foot never touched the ball. It touched the ground.
by the way, I do want to point. So like the halftime show one's the only one I want to talk about because the rest were kind of whatever. We were mostly right on those. Snoop Dogg smokes and sings the next episode. That was the first song they did. And while you didn't see Snoop Dogg smoking on that live TV, there
He
is a
did.
video of him puffing up
Before
I think I'm guessing it looks like a little. It looks like a little what's it called?
like a
Oh, word. Like a little dab pen. It's
Yes.
the wax.
yeah
It's an e-cigarette, but for
for
marijuana
weed
wax,
for the
wax.
weed.
Yeah, and he was hitting that shit. So I'm counting that as a yes. Snoop Dogg smokes and sings the next episode. It didn't happen on live TV, but he did smoke. I'm counting it. I don't care what anyone says. Fuck you, Vegas. It counts.
We both get a point for that. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
And then obviously I picked the Rams to win. You picked the Bengals. But I do want to point something out, Brad. 2 weeks ago on our betting segment,
mhm.
I did say lock in Rams plus 4.5. They're not going to lose by more than that. They've 17 out of 20 games this season. They've either won or lost by less than 3, or 3 or less, I should say. And lo and behold, lost by 3. They covered. The Bengals cover, baby. That's Bengals all day. Thank you,
Bengals
Joey
all day.
B. So,
Yeah, I'm sure.
all right. Do you want to have? Can we get through this unfortunate conversation about Matt Stafford being a Hall of Famer?
Actually, Griff, do you want to call an audible? Let's call an audible.
Well, what? Okay.
Here's my audible.
Can I give you just the short and sweet version of it?
I would-
and we can move on.
Yeah, that's
like-
fine. That's fine. That's perfect.
I just want to say that because this is he a if he retires today, is he a Hall of Famer? Then I can understand everyone
Yeah.
having this argument.
Right.
Because then you can debate, okay, well, super high passing yards. He's won a Super Bowl now.
Eli
didn't do
Manning
this,
has
he
won
didn't do
2
that.
Super
Right.
Bowls, and I still don't put him in a Hall of Fame.
Because he
Eli
was
Manning's
never-
not a lock.
because
Come on, you think
Super Bowls are
Stafford's a lock?
team- Yeah, Super Bowls are a team stat, and that's why I was never like it's Stafford's fault for always losing. But the quarterback is obviously a big part of why teams win. So there's some sort of a shared responsibility, which I understand. But sort of like Eli, Stafford was never the best quarterback in the league or a top 5 quarterback in the league any of the years he was in, except there might be 2 or 3 arguable, right, where he was in that conversation of being a top 5 QB. Funnily enough, actually, I think it was the last year or the second to last year of Quintricia in Detroit, he was putting up MVP numbers, and the Lions were 3-4 or 3-4-1, and he was leading the league in 70% of the passing stats. And then he got hurt and it derailed it, but he was a dark horse MVP candidate that year, just on an awful team. But that's neither here nor there. No, but the thing is Stafford a Hall of Famer? Who knows? Let him finish his fucking career.
Yeah.
Because if he goes on and is an All-Pro for earns All-Pro status 2 more times, and wins another Super Bowl, or at least maybe makes another Super Bowl, I think if that happens, right, like he has another, let's say, 3 to 4 years of good football, and makes the playoffs and makes another Super Bowl, maybe even wins another one, then probably, yeah. And then if he falls off these next 2 years, probably not. It's debatable still, because like people are saying, is he in now? And people think he is. So my thing is, let's see what he does the rest of his career, but also, like, guys, take a look at the quarterbacks that are in the Hall of Fame. I look at that list and I go, I don't know if Stafford's on that list compared to the other guys that are.
Yeah,
in there.
it's some serious business, you know.
It's some good company to be in the Hall of Fame,
And
so we'll see.
again, like his career
I need
is
to see
not
his
over.
career play out. Exactly. He's got, as long as he doesn't get injured, he's got 3 to 4 years of.
To be
good football
fair,
left in
he
him.
only has one Pro Bowl appearance. You know who else has one? Mitch Trubisky.
Mhm.
Mitch Trubisky,
I'll say
Vince
this.
Young. He's
I don't know
never
how
been the
he wasn't a Pro
All-Pro.
Bowler.
What's
I
that?
don't know how he wasn't a Pro Bowl. Stafford wasn't a Pro Bowler this year.
I mean, that's fair. That's totally fair.
Like the Pro Bowl, you got to remember, is a popularity contest.
That's true.
So
That's true.
I look at all pros, which he's either only been once or never, which is more telling.
It's never. He's also never been the MVP. Lost the Super Bowl vote.
Again, MVPs are
Yeah.
There's one MVP every year out of 32.
The all pro thing
you know?
is interesting too, because, and I like that the NFL kind of has that, because Pro Bowls are like, again, like you're right, it's a popularity contest. And the interesting thing is, like, that's what people argue about baseball all the time, is like, oh, they're like, oh, this guy was an all-star this year. And I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't fucking matter, because in the MLB, they have a rule where every team gets one. I'm like, why?
Gregory
That's
Soto,
dumb.
Detroit. Gregory Soto, Tigers All-Star, baby.
The only city that I could ever make an exception for, the only team that I could ever make an exception for is the home city. That is the only thing that would ever make sense to me, because the home city always has a contestant in the home run derby. That just makes sense, right? But not every team. You know, like, do you think the Detroit Tigers deserve to have an all-star in 2018? Of course fucking not.
If anyone should have been, it should have been fucking like Casey Mize, because he was having a good season, I believe, at that point. I don't remember, but
well, Gregory Soto was doing
Gregory
good.
Soto getting it was the weirdest thing. I was like, I get it, you need someone
but like
to send.
Scope would have been a better option, but they had too many first basemen or whatever, like second baseman, whatever.
It could have been Mize,
but anyway, that's neither here nor there. The interesting thing about Stafford, though, too, is like, he's like, people always argue that the era that he's in is very pass heavy. So, like, let me look it up real quick. I have these stats comparison. Okay, I'm gonna compare Matthew Stafford to my good friend Matt Ryan. Let's do this. So from both of them,
weren't we calling an audible?
we were, but now you got me into the weeds. So which is kind of a reference to my audible. So Matt Ryan has 222 games. Okay, he's 120, 102, and 0. And I know that again is not indicative, okay, of a QB, right? Matthew Stafford, on the other hand, 148. That's a lot of that's due to injury. Like, obviously, Matt Ryan has the extra year. Stafford is 86, 95, and 1. It's not a big deal about his record. The record, it frustrates me because it's losing record. Like, at the very least, could he not be 500? Kirk Cousins is 500. Kirk fucking Cousins. Like, again, okay?
Okay,
it's not a big
I'll
deal.
say this. How many head coaching changes has Kirk Cousins gone through?
That's
That's I think that's the issue with like why his record is so bad
Yeah.
is because the Lions would do this, right? So the rebuilding with him, his first year, he was never gonna. They won like 3 games,
Right.
and then year 2 still lost more than they won. Year 3, things start to get better, but they never really took that step, right? So a lot of losing in the beginning. Then they get a new coach. That's when they get was it Schwartz and then Caldwell? Did it go Schwartz Caldwell? I guess it did. Schwartz Caldwell Patricia. I need to double check. Let me double check. But I think it went went from Schwartz to Caldwell, and Caldwell was supposed to be the the guy who came in and fixed Stafford, and he kind of did because Stafford did start to play better. Let's see. Yeah, it was Schwartz, Caldwell, and then Patricia. Yeah, from 2009 to 2020. Right. God.
And I get
we've
that.
had more coaches than that. So, you think about like the record, like Schwartz was 29-51. Not great, Bob.
Right.
And then, Caldwell came in and Caldwell won immediately, but that's because they were coming off the backs of those teams finally getting built up in 2014. And then in then Caldwell just kind of hung around that 500 mark, and then he lost a shit ton. And then again, Patricia, it never should have been a rebuild. They were ready to go. They just needed a better coach, right? And they brought in the worst coach possible. And they went from like they should have gone up. They were 7-9 or 9-7 the season before. Their record should have improved that year, and instead it went down to like 5-12, and then they went like 3-15-1, and then whatever the fuck happened after that. So
here's what's interesting to me about Matt Ryan. All right, Matt Ryan. So like, and I this is I think what I guess like sort of justifies the whole pass heavy era argument. Matt Ryan, like, do you think that Matt Ryan is a good QB?
Man, that's a loaded question.
Who's better, Matt Ryan or Stafford? Who would you rather have?
Matt Stafford.
Great.
I know
Okay.
Matt Ryan
Thank
has
you.
won an MVP, but outside of that season, he just isn't this like.
So Matt Ryan has.
I'll say Matt Stafford. It's close, but it's Matt Stafford. I would rather have right now.
So Matt Ryan in about I want to say 50-ish less games. I mean 50-ish more games. Has 59,735 yards. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew Stafford has 49,995. Okay.
Are you going to wait? Stafford has less yards than
Matt Ryan. This is from ProFootballReference.com.
Stafford it should be well over 50. Should be well over 50,000. He was the fastest player to get to 50,000.
How is that possible when he does not have? Maybe this wasn't updated. It says 49,995. Maybe is that just regular season?
Yeah, but I don't know what I'm not remembering correctly. Let me how do you Matthew Stafford
passing yards according to the NFL site, he has a total of 49,995. This is NFL.com, and Pro Football Reference confirms it.
So
49,995.
Matthew Stafford in this year, Matthew Stafford only needed 182 NFL games to pass 50,000 career passing yards.
I don't know how that's a story when like no website says that he has more than 50,000.
The official NFL thing tweeted it.
Really?
Oh, career including playoffs. There it is.
I guess they must
it.
decipher
Because look, it's
between.
5 yards short on their website. So if you include Detroit's like 3 playoff games where he probably got, he definitely threw for 5 yards in those games. That explains why he got it this year.
That makes
in Seattle.
and that makes sense because in playoffs, Matt Ryan is 4-6-0. So it's also a losing record, but Matt Stafford now has a winning record. 4-6-0. 2,672 yards for Matt Ryan in the playoffs. 2,096. He's 4-3-0, but Matt Stafford has less games. But
looking at, I was gonna say he's gonna have a lot less games because of injury.
Right. Well, but here's the thing about Matt Ryan.
Wow.
Like again, like that does not.
Matt Ryan's only ever missed 3 games in his career. That's insane.
He's also like not very like, I don't want to say that he's not prone to injury, but like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like he puts himself out there very often. Like you're not hearing about it. Like Matthew Stafford's kind of the guy
but he's probably the Falcons were a competitive team for a long while.
They were.
Remember, like, so I get the point you're making, right? Like Matt Ryan had a good. They
have similar numbers. They have similar numbers. So if you're looking at numbers alone, like what, you know what I mean? Like what's the difference? Super Bowl?
I'm looking at the record, right? So like the Falcons were 13-3-0. So 11-5-0 in Ryan's first year. He won Offensive Rookie of the Year. They went 13-3-0. They had a 10-6-0, a 13-3-0 season, and then some down years, and then they went 11-5-0. That was the year they went to the Super Bowl. 10-6-0, and then it's been a steady decline since. Man, and he's been selected to the Pro Bowl 4 times, and he's been a first-team All-Pro once. So, yeah, he's, like, other than the Super Bowl, like a Super Bowl win, he's got a better, trophy room than Stafford does. He's got the wins. He's had, a lot of 4,000-yard seasons. No 5,000-yard seasons, but he's been pretty damn close. But I will say this. He throws a lot of picks, too. I'm looking at his touchdown to interception ratio. The year he won Offensive Rookie of the Year, he threw 16 touchdowns and 11 picks. Like, most years, he's in like the low 30s, high 20s of touchdowns, and then like the mid to high teens in interceptions. Except for the year he won MVP, he threw 38-7. And then the year in 2018, he was 35-7. So like, and yet they only went 7-9 that year somehow. So yeah, Matt Ryan is a good quarterback. Is he better than Stafford? In some ways, yes. But Stafford's
the guy that would
here's what I'm gonna say.
Above
okay, how about this?
Beyond.
Because again, quarterbacks, having a good team around you makes you a better quarterback, right?
That's true, and Ryan has kind of had that.
Do you think if Matt Stafford is on the Ravens, the Falcons from day one? You're doing hypotheticals anyway, so I'm a hypothetical back.
Yeah.
If he's on the Falcons from day one, does he have just as much, if not more, success than Matt Ryan?
I mean, that's totally a fair point because I agree. I would agree. I mean, you could put Stafford on the Colts, and God, I don't know what he would do.
Oh my God, he probably would have success there.
Well, right. So by that same token, what about Joe Burrow? If you put Joe Burrow in Detroit, what happens?
The Detroit Lions, right now, like
right now, you draft Joe Burrow.
I think Detroit instantly becomes a contender.
You think so?
Because I think Joe Burrow's that good, and I think the team is in a good direction with their rebuild.
Interesting.
Because you would have Joe Burrow with a good offensive line. Yeah, the weapons wouldn't be great, but again, we're going to fix that this draft.
Well, right, exactly. Griff, so we're done. That's the end. Are you glad to be done with the Stafford talk? I want to talk about one thing, okay? Yes. Did you count how many cryptocurrency ads you saw during the Super Bowl? I don't even want to know. Okay. Now, how ironic is it? Okay. Because I remember this because of Snoop Dogg performing, and it's the first Super Bowl being played in a state in which recreational marijuana is legal. And I just want to put this preface this first off. I don't even smoke. I don't smoke, so I'm not like, it's not, I just don't really understand why it's illegal. You know what I mean? Like, it's an illegal substance, etc. And I'm a big like advocate for legalizing marijuana. Over like, I don't drink also. So I'm like a boring person, as you would say. So I just hated the fact that we saw so many crypto ads, but no weed ads. Like that just infuriates me. Like, because the NFL's obviously not going to have weed ads, or marijuana ads, cannabis ads, because it's a restricted substance and they don't allow it for some reason.
Yeah, well, I think it's because it's federally still illegal, and
That's
federally
fair.
it's still a Schedule 1 drug. So I'm guessing the FCC is.
I mean, that's totally fair.
no-no.
That is a good point that I didn't think of.
But I still agree it's dumb. Like,
right.
I'm sorry, if you can put up a bazillion alcohol commercials,
that's
it's been the
thing,
argument
right?
forever
like,
that marijuana is less. If alcohol is a recreational substance, then there's no logical reason why marijuana shouldn't be as well. Because in every facet, marijuana is less destructive to your body than alcohol is.
And this is
now,
also
there's downsides to marijuana, of course. Like if you do inhale with smoke, like it's smoke at the end of the day.
Right.
It's not good for your lungs. It's not as bad as a cigarette, but it's still smoke in your lungs. There is still mental dependency. There's a lot of financial, people do make themselves go broke by buying too much weed. It's a lot of people like, oh, he just spends all his money on dope.
People
like,
also
there's
do that with
downsides
alcohol.
to it, but that's with any vice, right? Any mental dependent thing.
Yeah,
and if we're
allowed
to just
gambling, how many
like buy our beer,
sports,
there's no
how
reason.
How many FanDuel, DraftKings, BetMGM? How many ads did you see for sports gambling? You can't tell me that is somehow better than advertising marijuana.
Yeah, it's
like,
it's
come
dumb.
on.
I do hate it.
It's like, and again, like, I'm not saying that, like, whatever. It's just so. I was just sick of the crypto ads. Those, I'm like, come on. Not, you. Did you have a favorite ad from the Super Bowl?
The Toyota commercial with all of the Joneses. And then, so it's like, and then Nick Jonas shows up. He's like, "Yeah, it's the Jonases," and they're like, I thought it was cute. But the rest were all pretty mid. I like the Larry David one, even though it was a crypto commercial because I don't really like crypto.
And like,
but it was
LeBron was in a crypto ad. That was annoying.
LeBron, that one where he's like, they like ADR his face and make him look like his younger self, and he's like talking to his younger self. Hated that like a lot. That was Uncanny Valley.
I also hate how bad of an actor LeBron is. God, he's terrible. Like, he is a terrible actor. He just cannot act for shit. He was in that. Did you watch the what was that? The new Space Jam?
Yeah, I didn't watch it.
Oh, it was bad. It was terrible. Like, and the directing was terrible. The acting was God. LeBron cannot. He can't be in a commercial. I would not put him. Oh my God! All he can do is be on a poster. That's it. He cannot. You cannot have him speak. It is. Oh my God, dude is love him. Thanks, LeBron, for whatever you do. But oh my God, it was bad. I wanted to like that movie so bad. It was so bad. Griff, I want to talk about the halftime show.
We already talked about the halftime show.
Did we? Where did you rank it?
About Snoop Dogg?
Where would you rank it, though? Where would you rank it?
It's I think for me, it's in the top 5
Okay.
because I just think a lot of halftime shows have been mid. I mean, it's Snoop Dogg and Dr. You know, the names alone are worth
I would
it
put it at number 2.
behind Prince.
No.
Brad, shut the fuck up. Prince isn't even top 2.
I would put it
Brad.
top 2. You know what my
Brad.
favorite one was?
Brad.
You know what my favorite one was? Beyonce.
Shut the fuck up.
Come on. Come on. No.
I'm leaving the show.
No.
If you don't announce this right
No.
now. Where
I'm
is
serious.
Prince on your list?
3.
Prince in the Miami rain singing.
I'm
Purple
sorry.
Rain.
Oh my god.
You know what they said? Hey, Prince, you're gonna be wearing electric guitars and a lot of electricity. The stage, it's made of a bunch of panels. It's gonna be really slick. Like, oh my gosh, should you do that? You know what Prince said to the producers of the show? Can you make it rain harder? Elite. There's no one that's ever gonna outdo Prince. I mean, it's going to take something truly insane. Nope. And I'll tell you what, Beyonce was good. Nothing against Beyonce. I like
Prince
her
is
halftime
better.
show. Prince was better. I probably like this one better. And due to personal biases, I probably like some other ones better than Beyonce. And when I say personal biases, I mean bands like I like Bruce Springsteen a lot. So his is up there, probably above Beyonce, but that's not because anything against Beyonce. It's just because I like Bruce Springsteen more than Beyonce.
When
on
did
an everyday
Slash
basis.
play at the Super Bowl?
What?
When did Slash play at the Super Bowl?
Oh fuck! He was that the year with 2012?
I think so. I just remember everyone kept talking about that, like that Super Bowl halftime show. Like people hated it. My biggest issue,
like the Black Eyed.
Like I just remember too watching like the South Park episode where they like start talking about how like Slash is like Santa Claus, like he's everywhere, like he's almost like the mall Santa, and he's just a figment of our imaginations, and like people believe in Slash when they're children. It's comedic gold, but that's beyond your years. I'm talking like an old person. So, was this Super Bowl better than the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Well, wasn't that the year with Bruno Mars?
I'm just being facetious at this point. I could not stand that one. I think
this was top 5 because it was fun. I liked the set design.
When you watched Eminem kneeling, did that look like kneeling to you?
So it at this point, I just saw it and thought he was,
being
at first
Eminem?
I just thought he was out of breath, and then he stayed down, and then I thought, oh, it's probably like a thing.
I just thought,
and apparently
I didn't think
the NFL
anything
told
of
him
it.
not to do it, and he did it anyway because his knees were weak, his arms were heavy.
Yeah,
his
right.
On his sweater already.
Come on.
No, it's Eminem. You're not going to tell him not to do something, he's going to do it.
He should have.
And then like
an
Dr.
F-bomb
Dre
right
still
on
said,
stage.
still don't love the police. So like whatever.
Yeah.
It was fun. I was honestly the biggest thing I was taken aback by. So Kendrick didn't play Humble and instead played All Right, which is fine. I like that song.
Yeah.
But Eminem only played one song, which I get. Like 5, you had 6 people, right? So
right. That's a lot.
Between
Yeah, and
50,
that's a lot of play.
I did like the 50 Cent. That was fun.
Interesting, Griff. Interesting. So, how would you rate this year's Super Bowl on a scale of 1 to 10?
A whole Super Bowl altogether, commercials, game,
everything.
So the game I give 7.5 out of 10. Suspenseful, a little boring at times, but last minute touchdown, fun stuff. I also won 2 squares.
Right. So you made money.
Yeah. Commercials were like a 2 out of 10. They sucked. They haven't been good in a long time.
That's true.
Halftime show, I'm gonna give it, like a 9, maybe 8.5. Like it was good. It's in my top 5 now. Like I know the recency bias is there. Performers were great. super fun. Love seeing Kendrick. I liked it. For me, it's up there 8.5. And then I guess that's really all there is to rate is those things. So
I don't
altogether,
have.
I'm gonna give it a 8. I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. 8.5 if you don't, or 8 if you don't really consider the commercials. It was a good time all around.
So
I just wish the
I
commercials
would
were
give
more
it. I don't have a breakdown, a fancy breakdown for you, but I'll give it a 4.5
Wow. Okay.
altogether. Altogether,
It just the game was too boring for you.
it was, it was boring. It was like at one point I'm like, should I just turn this off and play Xbox? And I'm like, nah, I'll sit through it, And then the commercials are boring. The thing I'll say about commercials, and I have a couple friends that are into like marketing and stuff like that. Well, not I wouldn't say friends, but like acquaintances, stuff like that. I have like they're into like social media, stuff like that. They watch the commercials, and I'll say, as I was having a conversation, and I'll say this: the commercials used to be like funny. Like some of them used to be just funny, and some of them would be like, I don't know. I remember there being like this one commercial. I can't remember if it was banned or not. I can't remember. It was a Modern Warfare commercial, and I remember this very explicitly. You can look it up. It was titled "Everyone's Doing It." I don't know if you remember this, but it was this old guy who was talking about. Like he's just saying everyone's doing it. Guys are doing it with girls are doing it with other girls, and then I go on and they're getting together in groups and doing it, and some have steady aim and some just spray everywhere, and like you think he's talking about sex, but he's talking about Call of Duty Modern Warfare. And that is, I can't remember if that was actually on the Super Bowl or if that was just a banned ad, but or if it was scratched or whatever. But that is mine. That has got to be mine. Such a good ad.
All right.
But anyway,
Brad,
I was gonna say they're more about bringing people in and being unexpecting. Like you're watching this ad, you think it's like a toilet paper commercial, ends up being like an iPhone. Not really, but you know what I mean. That's my point.
All right. Well, here's the deal, Brad.
Yes, the deal. What do you want?
We're running up against it, but I do.
We are. What else do we have to
talk
talk about?
I want to talk about the MLB lockout. We haven't really touched on it much. There really hasn't been much to talk about because because they're meeting once. They meet every other month, but only on a full moon. It seems like they're not actually getting anything done, and we've officially passed the point where we basically are guaranteeing
no season.
If a season happens, it will start later, right?
Yeah.
So they will not start the season on time. We know that is 100% for sure. And we're trending towards potentially not having a season at all, right? So just putting that out there right now. So with where we're at, with the lack of progress they were making, the MLB requested a federal moderator, but the the players union shot it down because they said we don't need moderation because we don't think what we've proposed is unreasonable.
Right.
And I just got to say, I think Rob Manfred and the MLB and the owners are going to kill this sport, and to the point where their sports teams won't have any value.
Nope.
Because good Lord Jesus,
it's rough. No, it's rough. You're right. It's rough.
I know there's we're billionaires squabbling with millionaires. Like we should feel bad for them. Like guys, it's the same thing with your work when you fight for a raise or why you leave your job to get a better pay somewhere else. Right. It's supposed to be a fair market. But now imagine you're trying to leave for another company, but that other company is working with your company and saying. And your company is telling them, hey, let's not pay them that much. That way they have to come back to us and be stuck with what they've been given. Or even better, a pay cut. Right? Like that's, and that's colluding. And I think there's collusion happening among the owners. But they're basically, the owners are ganging up on the players, right?
Right.
And they're taking away the players' bargaining ability to get the most out of their contract.
I mean, they should just, honestly, if you ask me, they should just play Road to the Show. The owners should just play Road to the Show and MLB the Show. And I'm dead ass, not even kidding. And they will realize how unfair it is. You play that game and you're like, fuck, I have to deal with this. I have to be with the same fucking team unless they trade me. I have to be with the same team for 6 years. That's garbage. Because again, there should be, and this is my opinion, 3 years of rookie contract. Right? You get 3 years and you're an unrestricted free agent. And again, what's the harm in that, right? And arbitration should just go away. Go away. Because right now they have the first 3 years, they are on a minimum deal, whatever the team decides to pay them, they're on a minimum deal. And then for the next 3 years, they are on arbitration, where an arbiter decides how much they're worth versus them. Right. So there's a little bit more leverage, but it's again, it's not actually fair. And again, if it's just 3 years, done. That's it. That's all you need. 3 years, done.
So, yeah, without getting into the nitty gritty, right? That's one of the many things the lockout is about. Is the minor leagues, the bringing of players up in the minor leagues, rookie contracts, and then the way in which contracts are structured after the fact.
Right.
And I'm 100% on the player's side. I get, my thing is you bitch and moan about, oh, they're millionaires, but you have to remember, one, they're making all this money now, and then they might not be now granted, this is more other sports than baseball, because baseball, you can have a longevity in your career, but they're trying to make that money now. And then after they leave, I mean, again, not so much in baseball, but if you're a pitcher, there's a lot of wear and tear on your body that you need to take care of throughout the rest of your life. And there's no guarantee that you're going to have a great career in the media or as a commentator or something like that. Some of these guys need health insurance and a pension for the rest of their life to make sure that they can rehab their arm and rehab the things that got worn down in their time on the team. That's what they're fighting for. And honestly, they're just trying to get paid what they're worth. Yeah, you're oh, they're getting paid millions. Why are they complaining? Because you give them that worth by demanding to see them. And because they're so good at what they do, they want to be paid fairly for their craft. And that is what the market has dictated their value. The issue is the owners are fixing the market.
Right.
Again, it's if you are a welder and all of the companies that hire welders have universally agreed we're not going to pay more than this amount because we don't want it, that way we can all save money and not compete with each other. There's something immoral about that.
And it also creates,
and it screws you over. It's not
also
right.
creates sort of
Even
an
if
unbalanced.
It doesn't matter the value amount. It is owner versus worker. That's all this is.
It also creates an unbalanced market, I want to say, right? Because think about it, I guess, this way, right? If a player is, I guess you could think about it in the Miguel Cabrera option. How old was he when he signed that 10-year contract with Detroit? He was what, 30, 31, 32, something like that, 30. Anyway, Miguel Cabrera at age 30 is much more valuable to me than he is at age 40, right? Mm-hmm. So ideally, you want to pay him more at age 30 than you do at age 40 because he will not be worth as much at age 40, right? Mm-hmm. And so I guess that's my thing, right? You're creating inefficiencies in the business because now, right now, you're not paying players what they're worth when they are worth that money, right? You are Albert Pujols got paid all this fucking money 10 years ago, and he got paid for 10 years, and again, he's worthless now. You don't need him now. But they don't care if they get a Super Bowl ring out of it. I mean, Detroit, neither them nor Los Angeles got any World Series out of it. If you get a ring, it doesn't matter. So I guess that's my thing is It's just not. It's not efficient. You don't want to pay someone millions and millions and millions of dollars when they're 40 years old, because that is just hurting you as an organization. Griff, I did want to say one more thing, okay, before we have 30 seconds, okay? This is college basketball related. As we speak, Rutgers has a minute and a half to go. They are beating Illinois, number 12, Illinois, 68-57. 68-59. If they win this game, which they will, Rutgers will be 5-0 against ranked Big Ten opponents this year.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's really impressive.
That's
really impressive.
Unranked team, they are 15-9, 5-0 against ranked Big Ten teams.
Very interesting.
It is. It is. Griff, you want to sign us off?
I would like to do that, Brad.
Okay,
yeah,
perfect.
no, obviously. So next week's show, I'm sure we're going to try to not look too far ahead to the draft. We might do a mock draft, find a couple mocks and see how they affect the Lions. Because that's like the biggest thing I'm looking at. That and maybe a few other things, see what other teams are doing. We'll check out a few, this is like our way too early mock draft, and then we'll do another one, as we get closer to the combine and things like that. So we'll check out some mock drafts. We'll check back in with, see if anything's happened with the MLB lockout. And yeah, we're unwinding a little bit in the season. We got basketball and NHL season form, and, obviously baseball might never happen. So maybe we'll break down the USFL, Brad, the Michigan Panthers. I'm buying a jersey. They're revealing their uniforms, I think, like in the next couple days. It would be hilarious if they won, like, whatever the USFL title is this year.
God, that would be amazing.
Oh, my God, that would make me laugh my ass off. Anyway.
It would be... God, that would be funny.
We will cover all that and more next week. But for now, everyone, thank you again so much for listening and tuning in to Take This. Hope you have a great weekend. Be smart. Be smart with your bets. Be safe. Be nice to each other. And don't forget, Brad, make your free throws.
Oh, I won't.
See ya.
I won't.
Name society's insane, we all live for fame, yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Born a rock star in this life, gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad, I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad, do it no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad, baby, I'm bad.